It's Oklahoma Archery. Everything archery based out of Oklahoma for Oklahomans. Let's get it started. Hello, everybody. I'm David Bosca, and this is the Oklahoma Archery Podcast.
I'm Neil Cooley, and y'all, we got Open Pro Chance Beaubouef with us, fresh off his win at the Minden Louisiana Pro-Am. How you doing, Chance?
I'm doing great, man. Enjoying the weather here at home.
Is the drive home a lot easier knowing you came away with the win?
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. I actually left the venue as soon as we got done at like 7:30 or something, and drove the whole way home. And I was up, half the time on adrenaline, so it makes it a lot easier. I didn't have to stop and get an energy drink.
Where is home for everybody?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I'm about 40 minutes east of Nashville. I just say Nashville because it's everybody knows it, but I'm a little bit outside of Nashville. But it's been nice living here. I'm centrally located for all the archery tournaments, which is really nice.
There you go. Do you hit any of the IBOs out there, or you just do the ASA side?
No, I do the IBOs as well. I'm actually gonna participate in all the IBOs this year and see if we can't win one or two of those.
That's fun. You take the same bow setup, or do you change it up a little bit?
I'm going to change it up. It's going to be the same bow. Like I'll still be shooting a Tri-Tech 35. I'm just going to set a different one up with a little bit different arrow setup and see if I can't cut a couple yards off my my sight tape and get a little more advantageous for shooting 11s.
Yep, a little extra speed. Middle is always fun, but
yeah. And when we get into the shoot off at IBO, they actually score inside out of the 11 as a 12 ring. So I like to run a little bit smaller arrow for the shoot offs. Just a point in IBO is a lot, and if you can get one or two in a shoot off, then it makes a big difference.
There you go. What do you switch arrow wise up?
Well, right now I'm running the PS25s for ASA. I'm going to rerun the XM packs for IBO, which are quite a bit smaller. But when we're aiming at the middle of the 10 ring, it's not as huge of a factor. Like as far as line cutting and all that. So I've had great success in the past with smaller diameter arrows, and I tend to lean that way for IBO.
Well, tell everyone your complete setup.
Oh, so on my ASA setup, I'm running the Tri-Tech 35. It's about 68 pounds, PS25s with 140 grain points, TAC 2.25 veins on the back. For me, I'm running a 350 spine, and I'm 30.5 inches. So I found that my Dartons tend to like a little bit more of I guess what it would be on like Archer's Advantage would be a optimum spine, but to me it's always seemed a little weaker because I ran different brand arrows for a long time and they were extremely stiff. So I had to learn how to tune bows around the arrows, and now I have the flexibility with Black Eagle. I can get a weaker spined arrow, and I can kind of tune the arrow around the bow and instead of the other way around.
See that I've got the 350 25s, 140. I got a 32.5 inch draw, and I've tried to cut that arrow down as much as I can. And I've got a 3-inch vein on it, and I've got some 2.5 veins coming, because I set up some X impacts down here also and went with the 225s on those. And I was shocked at how well they still steered that. So I'm like, wait a minute, can I do that with my 25s also?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you running 3-fletch now or 4-fletch?
I've got the X-Wing 4s.
So you run, okay, I got you. Yeah, like in the past, if I've ever had an arrow that's like borderline between being stiff or weak or something like that, you can add, like if the arrow's a little stiff, you can weaken it up or if it's a little weak, you can stiffen it up by adding a vein to the back, 4-fletching instead of 3-fletching. When you add weight to the back of the arrow, it'll stiffen it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I've kind of run into the same thing, bouncing between 300 and 350 spine I run 350 23s with a .40 at 28.5 inch, 67 pounds. And I've tried the 300s out of that, and my hunting bow back there, I tried last year. I was shooting 300 spine rampages, and they just weren't, it feel like I'd break a good shot and it'd go skidding out to no man's land. Right. Be kind of that AT&T era, like how'd that get there? I bumped it down to 350 spines, and that sucker pounds.
I mean, you get a little bit more forgiveness. I found with a if you can get a little bit weaker arrow to tune, I've found you'll get a little bit more forgiveness out of them.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Reason. Like even for when I've been running arrows for long distance for like Reading style tournaments or OPA, or whenever we shot that, I would try to lean toward the weaker side.
So, and that's what I've found for myself for the 25s and the X Impact. I'm at 400s, and dude, I'm getting them tuned good. Yeah,
33-inch draw length shooting 400 spine.
I get quite a bit of questions, from like on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Guys that'll message me saying they're getting a little bit of a tear this way or that way, and 9 times out of 10, it's a guy's running a stiff arrow.
Yeah.
He's just having an issue getting it to tune, and he's wondering if he needs to shim cams or if he needs to, do whatever. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, you can fix it with arrow spine. But
do you feel that sometimes when it is just a touch stiffer, it's just that it's that little bit of torque or that little bit of hand back here, and this a little bit of something maybe is what's causing it versus a weaker one? It might absorb it more.
Something I see it more through paper whenever I'm tuning. Like I take all my arrows and shoot them through paper, every one of them. And if I'm running a stiffer dozen of arrows, I'll go down there and it takes me a little bit longer to get them all indexed through paper, simply because if I have a little bit of an imperfection in my shot, either whether it be a little bit more facial contact on the string or whatever it may be, I'll get more of a reaction through paper.
See, it's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, with the stiffer.
With a stiffer arrow than I will with a weaker arrow. The weaker arrows I can index those through paper and get them to all shoot the same hole much quicker.
Yeah.
When you're indexing those, are you indexing them fletched or bare shaft?
Fletched.
Okay. And you just rotate from there.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, I do bare shaft tune, but I'll do it after I shoot everything through paper. And then I'll walk back and I'll start. And I'll always check once I get a bow tuned and I feel like it's grouping the best for me. I've got it shooting as forgiving as I can. I'll always shoot a bare shaft with it just to check and see where that impact is. And I'll carry one with me to a tournament just so if anything happens along the way, whatever, bow gets knocked over, I hang it, pulling it out of the truck, whatever, I can check it with a bare shaft. And as long as I get that impact point the same, I know I'm back where it should be.
Fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a bare shaft tuner. I guess I could say I shoot it through paper when I first get the bow just to do it. But after that, I almost forget about paper. So I get it. I carry one around.
Yeah, I kind of go through a few different steps. Like I'll start with paper, and then I'll go to bare shafts. I'll shoot a bare shaft in at about 25 yards, and then I'll back up and I'll get to 50, 60 yards, 70 yards sometimes, depends on what tournament I'm preparing for, and I'll group tune from there, and I'll walk forwards and backwards in and out from like 40 to 70, and I'll shoot a group at 70, walk up to 40, shoot a group, and I'm trying to make sure I'm not getting like a parachute effect, because sometimes you'll get a bow that shoots extremely well at say 50 yards, 60 yards, but your 30-yard group will open up a little bit. You'll get a little bit of a parachute, and more times than not, it's a tuning issue that you're running into.
And do you find that's a left and right or an up and down issue, or could be either?
Usually it's some sort of left and right issue, whether it be with my rest, or it be with cam lean, or it be with, limb, where my limb tips are sitting, something that's just not agreeing with how it's not coming off the string the same way every time.
Just out of pure curiosity, I shoot a darting as well. Are you dead center shot from your rest to that notch in the riser? Or are you faded off one side just a little bit?
Right now, I am outside just a hair.
Okay.
Not much.
I'm getting inside on them.
Right.
So it's like I've set them up that way at starting and just try to follow that line in there. Mm-hmm. But I feel like center shot's a pretty fluid term that everybody's like, it's got to be 13/16. It's like,
no,
does it walk back tune? Does it, know?
Right. It's a very good starting point. Is that 13/16? That's where I tell people to start. And then if you're getting something weird from there, like if you manipulate these adjustable roller guards we have now, which are awesome for tuning. But if you manipulate that inwards or outwards prior to setting your bow up, your bow is probably not going to tune in that 13/16. So, depending on how much pressure you add or take away from the roller guard, depending on your limb screws that you're putting into the pocket, whether you have those in or out, that's also going to affect your left and right on the wrist. I mean, there's so many different ways you can tune these Dartons that there's not just one specific way to get it set up. You could, like, I could go out there and tear mine apart and rebuild it completely different than how it is now, and it'll feel the same, but it won't necessarily tune and shoot the same.
That's fair. I loved the 35 last year. I think you used to shoot the Exodus.
I did.
I was a longer axle guy, and everybody here was shooting monster scores with the 35. I'm like, man, I think that's a little bit short. And I finally started playing with it and really got along with it. And all my rep down here was telling me, he was like, man, you're going to like what we're coming out with. I was like, I don't know what you could do to it. I don't know how you could make it any better. He goes, you're going to like what we do to it. So he's just kind of wait and see kind of thing. But
good stuff coming, man. But I've really enjoyed shooting my 35. I've always been a longer axle guy, and I actually got to shooting that Tri-Tech quite a bit for hunting, preparing to go out west last year, and it just impressed me, and I told my wife that I said, I'm gonna try and give this thing a run, an honest run with it for tournament season and see what kind of results I get. And it's impressing me so far. I've run into some problems earlier this season with just different things that were more than anything my fault that I overlooked, and going back to the drawing board and getting those remedied, and going back and looking at some old notes and stuff like that. It helped, it really helps to keep any sort of documentation if you're in a place in time where you're shooting really well. Measure everything, write stuff down, because you don't realize how little things change incrementally through time, and you'll change your draw length by a half inch and not realize it, and you're looking back at those notes, you figure out what was working at the time, and you can kind of go back and rediscover some stuff.
Have a little notebook in your bow case with you?
Not really. I kind of write stuff down here at the house whenever things are shooting well. I'll just jot down, like, I have a dry board out in my shop. I'll write down what my draw length is and all that with a certain bow. If I'm winning a lot of tournaments with it, I'll write down draw length, brace height, different specs on it, so I can have a reference to go back to if I want to build a brand new one and try and make it exactly the same, or rebuild that bow or whatever. And I don't necessarily erase them year to year. I'll leave them up for a long time, and it helps looking back at them sometimes when I've got something I'm out there and just tinkering with a bow and I can't quite get it figured out. I'll go over and start going through different old notes and looking at stuff and trying just to do some brainstorming and figure out what's going on.
Everybody probably asks you on these podcasts, well, how do you go about setting up? And okay, that may be part of this question, but what criteria do you put ahead of another criteria to say that's more important for me, Chance Beaubouef, to make a bow my favorite? Is it flat out just the way it hits, the feel? I mean, what is your criteria that you measure by?
More than anything, it's the feel. It's because I'm going to be shooting this thing every day, like whether it be 30 arrows a day or 100 arrows a day, I try and fire some arrows every day just to keep your body accustomed to it, because if you don't shoot for a week, you can go out there and pick it up, everything feels like awful. You draw back and it feels like you're shooting somebody else's bow. So I try and fire a few arrows. So more than anything, I want it to be something that's enjoyable to shoot. Like I've had certain bows in the past that were almost like, I'd be sitting in the house. I'm like, well, I need to go out to shoot. And I'm like, God, I'm going to be sore afterwards if I go do that, but these bows that I have now are extremely enjoyable to shoot. And that's that's the biggest thing. I want to go out to practice. You know, it makes me want to go out there and put in the work and see what kind of things I can change, and if I can get any sort of better results. It allows me to stay out there longer. So the biggest thing I look for is something that's enjoyable to shoot, that I can do many repetitions, you know, and it's not gonna affect my shoulders or my back or something where I'm gonna be getting sore.
It's a great answer, because that's not a question or an answer that you hear much of.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I want it like any bow. If it's comfortable to shoot, you know, I can spend enough time with it to get it to where it hits behind the pin every time.
Yeah.
But being able to spend enough time with a bow to get it to that point is the biggest factor. And a lot of guys, you know, you go out and shoot 30 arrows. If you're tired at the end of that, then you're probably shooting too much poundage, too much holding weight. Something's a little uncomfortable for you that you're having to stop after 30 arrows or 45 arrows or something. It's, you know, at that point, 30 arrows, I'm just really getting warmed up. Like, that's, my shoulders are just starting to get warmed up, and I can apply my time into like more of like 120 arrows, you know, and really see what kind of results I can get.
What power scope do you roll at different type tournaments?
I'm running 5 for everything with a A- clarifier, so it's like a 4-ish. You know, I've never tried running anything stronger than that, but for years I shot a 2 power, and that did really well. But this was whenever they were very first starting to come out with high quality lenses, you know,
Yeah.
like, it's been a day or two, and I don't think the kids realize now that what they have available to them is unbelievable compared to what I was using.
What size scope and peep aperture are you running?
I'm running a 3/16 peep.
Okay.
And I think it's an 1 3/8 housing.
Okay.
The true ball, small.
Okay.
31.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, so you can see rings out to 30, 35, probably.
Depending on the target. If it's a deer or something light colored, I can see rings out to about 45 yards.
There you go.
Especially now that I'm not sure what McKenzie's done, but they're pressing the rings a little bit deeper than they used to.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see a little bit better on certain targets, like that target in the shoot down, the last one. I couldn't see the 14, but I could see the 8 ring. So I could see, when I drew back, I could see the corner of the 8 ring. So I had a pretty good idea of just stick my pin in the corner of the 8 ring and pray.
Probably about a lot of things in manufacturing. They just got a new die, and that new die is not worn down much. And the targets that's coming through now are coming from the new die.
It is on the antelope. I've seen a bunch of them in the past 2 years that the antelope has a lower on one side of it that just seems to disappear. Like, we shot one at Metropolis that we were like, can't call you out of it because I can't see it. It's like, well, it ought to be there. And I've had 3 or 4 of them that I've seen. It's only on one side of him. I think as if his head's to the right and his butt's to the left, that lowers just, I don't know. And you kind of lose it in the white anyways. That white paint's kind of finicky, but man.
Yeah, we had a pronghorn in, I believe it was Fort Benning, that he didn't have white on him at all.
Yeah.
He was completely painted tan like a deer.
Yeah. They're taking it lower and lower and lower because people don't like that white. Well, I'd always I'd put it right at the corner, call upper and add 1.5 yards, 2 yards, depending on how far it was. And that was one of the only targets I would shoot an upper on. I mean, I'm a lowers guy. That's usually and I miss low, so I should aim at more of them, but it just makes me uneasy. But that antelope, when it's right at the bottom of that, man, I love that high white paint, and it's getting lower and lower in the belly of him.
It is. They're pulling it down there pretty low now.
Yeah. Are you when you're out on the range, you go for lowers, uppers, whatever's available, whatever you can see?
I try to shoot the ring that has the least amount of obstructions next to it. Like, I've hit so many arrows and glanced out, man. If there's one if there's an arrow that I think that I might have an opportunity that I'm going to hit, or I have a high probability of hitting, I'll shoot the other ring. It's just, I'd rather miss it on my own than have somebody assist me on shooting an 8,
Yeah. It's kind of, it's heartbreaking when you make a good shot and it's like, well, that kicked out. You're not going to like it. Like,
Right.
at least stay an 8. Like,
yeah, that bothers me more than having shot at an open ring and missing it myself. That it's because in our level, 2 points is the tournament. If you glance out and it costs you 4 points, that could cost you the whole weekend. So it's better just to avoid it whenever possible.
So you came into day 2 with the lead. As far as course management strategy goes, I know the pros have the benefit of having a leaderboard updated constantly. Is that something you're looking at as far as how aggressive do I get, or do you kind of have a game plan from the first target that you're going to stick to?
I try to have a game plan. On the second day, it's so early in the morning. I try to just see how things are going to happen for the day, see how I'm seeing numbers, because day to day is different for me personally, whether I'm seeing good numbers or whether I need to make adjustments on the range on how I'm seeing numbers. So I kind of play the first few targets just conservative-ish. I'm not really gunning at them hard. And then as the morning kind of wakes up and it brightens up, I'll try and get on the gas a little more and be a little more aggressive. But I don't pay a huge amount of attention to the board because there's guys that are going to come and go off of it. And, we got a lot of targets left, even when we have 10 to go on Sunday or Saturday. There's still a lot of targets to go. And there's no reason to get too nervy about it or too anxious about where you're at on the board when you got a lot of targets left to shoot.
And they peer group you on the second day. So you have the top 4 or 5 guys on the stake with you?
Right. Right. So you get a little bit of a gauge on how things are going, but there's usually a guy or two in group 2 or 3 or sometimes even 4 that'll make a really good run for the board, whenever.
Yeah.
It's kind of for like, I don't know, man. I enjoy being in the lead. I enjoy being on the leaderboard, but second day, like I almost like being in group 2, like I can just from my mental aspect, like I can mash the gas a little more. I can be a little more aggressive, and at least I feel that way. So whereas you get guys that are on the leaderboard when we're up there, you almost feel like you're protecting a little bit. You're not as aggressive on some targets that you could have been or should have been, and it sometimes it'll bite you.
Well, just volunteer to, hey, give me my 2 cards. I'm gonna step over there.
Right.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, sometimes it's preferable for me to be in the second or even third group.
Yeah, I don't know how many times we've seen Levi Morgan be second group, third group, and gets all the way up to 4th or 2nd on the shoot down. It's like, where'd old boy come from? It's like,
right. Well,
storming back.
Yeah, you lose your governor a little bit. You just, it's in your mind. Everything kind of opens up to where, let's see how big of a score we can shoot today and get back into this thing.
Well, let's say the end of your round on Saturday. What do you do till you shoot off? What do you go sit and rest, take a nap? Are you that unkeyed, or do you go grab a bite and go to the range? What do you like to do?
I went and ate, and then I went and took a nap in Walmart parking lot. I set an alarm, and I took a 2-hour nap before the shoot off.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's a long thing. It's 3 hours long, and y'all go dead last. It seems like so. You just waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah, it's a hurry up and wait situation. So I knew I was going to drive home at the end of it, so I was trying to take a nap to be ready to come home regardless of the outcome. But it worked out. So
you travel to most of them by yourself?
I tried. My wife, I try and get her to go whenever possible, but depending on the tournament, and I do travel a lot to quite a few of them by myself.
You said east there in Nashville. Is that near Sevierville?
They're a little further east than me. Like I'm only about 40 minutes from Nashville. I'm really close to Lebanon, Tennessee.
I've got some really good friends that live there. That's the reason I was curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're kind of right in the middle of all the big ASAs there. You got a good 7 hours max.
Yeah. Louisiana's my furthest. It takes me 8. But like London is 3 hours. Metropolis is going to be 2.5. Coleman's an hour and 45 minutes. So
that's awesome.
It's pretty nice.
That's a Coleman's 10 or 11, maybe Foley's 12.
Right.
Minden's 6 is the closest one. Metropolis is about 9. So we got some Okies that like to drive,
Right, yeah. I'm very thankful I live where I do and have had the opportunity to travel to as many of these things as I've been able to.
Well, we all know you're a professional shooter. Are you a professional shooter, or do you have another job?
Yeah, I also have another job. Me and my wife are also real estate agents here in Nashville.
Okay.
So we do that as much as possible, and it's got a very lax schedule, which allows me to shoot as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Selling some good deer hunting property, or mostly
whenever possible. We'll sell whatever to whoever. We're not picky.
Get a good meat on the 80 acres of trees somewhere. You call me.
Right, I hear you.
So fair to say you like indoor better than 3D, or 3D over indoor? Or I know you mentioned Reading being this weekend. Are you planning on making the trip out for that one?
No, I've always enjoyed 3D more than indoors. For some reason, I've excelled at indoors and had a knack for it. But 3D's always been, it's where I started shooting. The only reason I started shooting was to become a more efficient hunter. That was the only reason. I got a bow when I was like 13, just because I wanted to extend my hunting season into archery season. And my dad bought me a bow and missed every deer I shot at the first year, and told him I want to get better at this. Like I'm seeing deer. So he started taking me to local 3D tournaments, and I gradually started getting better at it, and loved the competition of 3D, and got hooked, man. And now it's been, Lord, that's been 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So you've been doing it a long time. I mean, I remember when I was, I probably got my first Hoyt when I was 11 or 12 probably. And I don't know how old you were, but they had you in the catalog there. I was like, yeah, I remember seeing you. You had to be in your early 20s, right?
Yeah, I think I might have been 20, like 2017-ish, something like, or 2007, something like that.
Yeah.
7-6.
Yep. Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in that area. That's when I was with Hoyt. And that was, I might have been 22, 23, something like that.
It was back when they had the Pro Tech and the Alpha, the Ultra Elite. Those were damn good bows.
They were good bows. Yeah. I won Vegas with an Ultra Tech.
There you go.
That was 2003.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah, that's about when I started getting the bug pretty good, and took some years off, and went to school and chased women, and hung out in a bunch of bars, and got back into it in my mid-20s, and it's been it keeps me out of trouble on the weekends most of the time.
Right. It does me as well.
Stop from saying the F word in front of the Junior Eagle group when I shoot a nickel.
Right.
That's usually we put them on the other end of the range just for that purpose. People out there throwing their bow through the woods. It's like, yeah, try to not let the kids see you do that.
Right. It can be a very emotional sport like golf.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But it's part of that. It's part of that shooting under pressure that is so much fun, even though you get down to the last arrow and you're going to win, you got your hopes up, you got your nerves up, and then boom, you break the worst shot of the day. And we teach kids all these things. It's like you teach them how to tune a bow, you teach them how to shoot a bow. We don't teach them how to miss an arrow. And I feel like that's one of the biggest skills you can have in art. I know it doesn't sound like it makes sense, but sometimes it's just not going to be there. You got to just put it down and walk away.
Right. Things are going to happen. You're going to be presented opportunities, and they're just not going to work out. And as long as you learn something from it, as long as you take something from that experience, whether it be good or bad, it's not necessarily, you shouldn't address it like that was awful, I shouldn't have done that. You should address it more like there's a better way to go about it. There's a better way for me to execute that, and I don't know. I see a lot of kids that are too negative on themselves. They, negative self-talk, negative reactions, negative, them jumping on themselves. That was stupid. Why am I doing that? I'm so dumb. Like that kind of stuff. So whether you realize it or not, your subconscious listens to your conscious. So, whether it's good or bad, you can constantly reinforce positive things, and one negative reaction from you can undo a lot just in your mental state. Like you can hurt. You're the only one that can hurt yourself in archery. It's such an individual game, and that's why I enjoy it so much, because anything anybody else has no bearing on me. They can't affect me at all. They can hit the best shot of their life, and it's not going to affect me. I can do the same thing that they just did and match them. It's how you approach it mentally. Instead of when somebody hits something, you go, oh, it's like, oh God, he hit that. Like I got to do this. It's like, good, he hit that. Like watch me hit it too, bud. It's instead of letting someone else's, because I see it all the time on the range. Like you'll get guys that are shooting a great round, and another guy in the group, it affects them to a point to where they cannot, like it affects their day because another guy's having a great round. And I don't know, man. It's just, it's all just mental approach.
I like it when they're having a good day and shooting at the lower, so I got something to aim at. Like if you go right before me, and I've shot with some kids that are all uppers, 20 uppers in a day, and they'll just inside out. It's like I shoot in K45, so they'll hit 16 or 17 of them, and I'm scared to get up there in that upper. I don't want to do it, but if they give me something to aim at, we're gonna get up tall. It's like you give me something shiny down there. It's if it's a dark target and I'm shooting third or fourth on it, well, why not take a poke at it?
Right.
It's the only sport where defense, you can't play defense at all.
Right.
There's just nothing about it. You can get, the only person that can beat you is you.
That's right.
Letting the nerves get the best of you. But I try to tell people, you're not nervous, you're excited.
Right.
You're shooting your bow good. You're not scared of missing because you haven't been missing today. So you're excited for the bow to go off. You're excited to see that arrow, your follow through. You see it land, and that's the best part of shooting under pressure. It's like everybody's the champion of their own backyard.
Right. It's learning how to use, whenever another guy's having a good round, it's learning how to use that as fuel. You stay with him. Whatever you use it as like a competition in the class. In your group. Like try not to let somebody run off from you, and
it's kind of like playing horse.
It is. It's very, very.
He made it. I got to make it. He made it. I got to make it. He missed. I got to make another one now, and now he's got to catch me.
Right. And we get that going a lot in different groups. Between, most of us out there are friends. So we'll start talking crap to each other out there on the range. You better hit one or two. I'm gonna run off from you. Like just friendly banner, but it keeps a guy's head in the right place. It keeps, instead of getting halfway through the round and be like, well, I can't make the shoot off, and they kind of mentally give up. You can keep a guy in the, you can keep your head in the game, and you just never know till the last arrow's fired how things are going to end up.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through some parts of your shot process where you get to the high leverage arrows, like that shoot off where you're shooting the last chance arrow? What do you tell yourself before the big moment? I mean, is there anything that you just make sure you stay in my peep side, or squeeze it real slow, or what do you like to?
I try not to focus on small things in the process. Like I focus more on like follow through. Like whenever I'm aiming, I everybody knows what the situation is, that I got to hit the thing or the tournament's over. But so I focus on the process, like not necessarily little things in the process, but how I want the shot to feel when it breaks. So I'm focusing on on my, more than anything, I want to see if everything fires the way I want it to fire through my shot process. Whenever the bow goes off, I can watch my arrow go to what I'm looking at. And that's more than anything what I'm focused on. I'm focused on the spot I want to hit, and I'm focused on feeling my bow fire and watching the arrow go to where I want it to land. And that's kind of what I've engrossed myself in.
That's next level, because most people focus on, oh, I got to get my hand right. The pressure's back here.
Right.
That should have been the natural. You're thinking of the flight of the arrow being straight and pretty, not a kick.
Right.
I'm focusing on the bow twisting in my hand proper. I'm focusing on the arrow hitting. If you think about it, when we all started, we all said, don't move your hand till you see it hit the target.
Right. Same thing.
That's what you're still doing.
That's what I'm still doing. I try and, I just try and keep the pin right. Well, I think of my pin like the arrow. So I try and stick my pin. Like I think my arrow would look good right about there. I put my pin there.
Okay.
And just, I more than anything want to feel the follow through. If you can tell watching somebody's shot if it was good or bad. You can see from their reaction on their follow through whether it was good or bad. And as long as that feels good, 9 times out of 10 the arrow's going to land good. If I've made it, if I've guessed the yardage right.
Do you ever go back and watch yourself in some of the different shoot-offs or shoots?
Yeah, sometimes I'll go back and watch the thing because I didn't get to see everybody else. It happens so fast when you're out there.
Mm-hmm.
Me and another buddy were talking about it at the ASA. It happens so fast while you're out there. It goes by so fast that you don't hardly have enough time to do math. That's why we have somebody out there with us. Like, that's why I have somebody there. I'm like, look, man, all I need you to do is do math for me. Let me know what I need to shoot at and when I need to shoot at it, because everything's happening so fast out there. But when you go back to watch it, it's like 27 minutes long. I'm like, it did not seem 30, like I was standing out there for 30 minutes, So
you blink and you're on your 4th target, and it's like, oh,
right.
I got that long one coming up. I better hit this one. Like,
right.
Yeah.
It happens extremely fast when you're out there in the moment.
Well, the second part to that question is all the announcers all say, well, here comes Chance. Look at how long he holds. Does it seem like you're holding that long?
No, not to me at all.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they all say. Watch him. He just sits there and holds.
That's what I've said that for years. And I've actually felt like my shot sped, gotten faster throughout, over the years. But
yeah,
I don't know. I still say I hold forever. And that, for me, the shot goes by so quickly. Like there's times where I didn't feel like I was aiming that long before the bow fired. And
wow. See, so it's totally different on that end of the bow.
yeah, my perception is completely different.
Are you currently shooting a button?
Yes, I'm shooting an Onyx trigger at the moment.
Click or no click?
No click.
There you go.
No, yeah. I shot a hinge for so long that I don't know. It's like I roll through my button the same way I do a hinge. I load up pretty heavy on my index finger. I'll wrap my thumb around the barrel, and then once I wrap my thumb around the barrel, I never move my thumb again. My thumb will not move. I'm merely manipulating the release with my hand. Like I'm relaxing my index finger, rolling into my thumb, and that's what fires the release.
There you go. So there's no squeeze. It's more of a rotate and pull.
Yeah, it's more of a relax. Like it's my hand, whenever I draw back, is kind of almost more of a fist this way. And whenever I wrap my thumb around the barrel, and whenever I relax, it's almost like I'm lengthening my hand this way.
And it's forcing it into your thumb pad?
Correct. It's dragging the thumb barrel into my thumb.
So you've got it way back. You've got it way back here.
Yeah, I've got it pretty deep. But I also grab the release really deep, as far as like I'm not on that first joint. My release sits more behind my knuckle, this knuckle. I grab it fairly deep, and I've always done that just so I could feel my anchor better. Because whenever my hand's that way, it makes these knuckles a little more protrude a little more, which I hit right on my jawbone. So once I hit that for my anchor, I'll relax it. I'll flatten it out, and that's my positive contact there. And once I flatten that out, that's where I'm wrap my thumb here, and then I'll relax all that tension out of it, and that's what fires it.
Is that the same way you used to shoot a hinge, or were you making it actively roll?
No, that was the same thing. That's exactly how I fire a hinge. So I just took the thing and translated it into a thumb button.
It's the best way to do it. I mean, we got some guys locally that have kind of preached that. Sly Cooper and Jack Shaw. He's a 14-year-old phenom that shoots it. He's like, yeah, I figured out how to shoot my button just like a hinge. And I think he was 20. Last two scores have been 24 and 28 up.
Right.
I'm like, why are you guys shooting my division? Like, get on up to K50. He's gonna be 15 next year. I think he's leading shooter of the year by like 12 or 15 points or something crazy like that. I'm like, we're only halfway through the year, and old boy's got it wrapped up.
One of those up and comers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's like you
good.
can go to young adult, you can go K50, you can go judge. Hell, you can go pro. You can go anywhere but K45.
Right. Well,
Here he is.
my advice would be to prolong the jump to pro as long as possible. Because there's something to be said about learning how to become mentally comfortable winning and mentally comfortable in that position. And if you learning how to win is it's habit forming. You know, once you get a kid that's unafraid and he gets comfortable winning, just like Bodie, you know, he's really dangerous.
No, I've always preached to my grandkids and stuff. You need to learn how to lose to be able to win.
Right. Right. It
And a lot of these kids don't go through that.
No, they don't. And it's sad.
It's a byproduct of all the equipment available. They want the new Accu system. They want a new release. They need a different scope every time they lose. I'm like, your bow can hit just fine. You can just be second or third best that day. You know,
right.
It's not the end of the world. You just need to execute.
Right. Yeah. I try and tell kids, you know, I work with a lot of kids and coach kids and stuff around here, around the Nashville area. And once we get their equipment set up and get them tuned and get them where they're shooting well, I tell them they don't need to change anything equipment wise. I mean, everybody's looking for the magic pill, and there's not one. And you have to put in the time and the effort and become comfortable with your equipment, you know, and learn it more than anything. And most people don't spend enough time with their equipment to actually learn it.
Yeah.
It takes a while to settle into a new. I mean, I got a kid over here. I took his hinge from him yesterday. I was like, if you're gonna shoot your button, you're gonna put the hinge up. He missed one, pull the hinge out. Missed one, pull the button out. I was like, put it in the box. You can have it when indoor season starts. And, you know, just trying to get him to do it the same way every time. And you can't change it. You can't change your release out every 3 targets and expect to execute the same way.
Well, it creates a bunch of different mixed thoughts in your mind, and you have so many different things going on in your head when you're switching different things, different releases, different sights, different grip pressure, hand pressure, release types, you know, trying to figure out how to fire release the same way every time. And it's not advantageous for an archer to do that. You know, it's better for you to get a certain set of tools and you learn to use those efficiently, and then you move on from there. But it's a lot of guys, like I said, they're searching for a magic pill, and there's not one. You know, keeps archery companies in business, though.
We know you 3D is your favorite out of those two, but here real quick, are you thinking Olympics?
I don't know. I've thought about it. I just know how much time and effort and dedication I would have to put into it to make that team, and it would be a lot. I would have to begin training for that pretty soon, I think. And I don't know. I need to do some more research on how they're going to do the trials and all that situation on how how they're going to do the selection for the teams.
I think that's huge right there. You got to know the rules of the game before you know how to play the game.
Right. I just want to know to the extent of what I'm going to have to go through and dedicate my time to.
Something's got to give. You got to give something up.
Right. Yeah. There's going to be a give and take. It's and I don't know where the trials are going to be held. If they're going to hold like individual trials or make it like they could make it a multiple venue situation where you have to shoot like Gator Cup and then SoCal and something else, and then they're going to take I don't know how they're going to do it, and that's, like I said, that's something I need to do more research and figure out. But
I think they need to get after it. And if they want the best shooters from the United States representing us, you guys need the ability to make those decisions now so that the best can be ready for that.
Right. And
I mean, they need to get
it'd be a very difficult team to make for the United States. I know there's going to be a bunch of very talented individuals vying for that position, but I would very much like to participate in it if I can make it happen.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the basis of the question. Just curious. Yeah. If it comes out and it doesn't work, you're going on doing what you're doing. But if it does work, you would be interested in it.
Right. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be great for the sport, get us a little more exposure, and hopefully a bigger part of the Olympics going forward. Right now it's just going to be mixed teams, but hopefully it gets some traction, and going forward in the future, it becomes a larger part of the Olympics.
Yeah.
Definitely make it exciting to watch. I remember, I think it was 4 or 6 years ago. I don't remember the U.S. I used to shoot Olympic recurve, and when I was a kid, there wasn't anybody around Oklahoma that did that. We'd have to go all the way to indoor Southern sectionals before there was even anybody else in my division. I was like, I still got that thing. I'm gonna take that out to the range, and it was cool. You'd have all the compound guys who were like, let me shoot that thing. Oh, I've never even drew one back, and got the long bars and the scope on it and the clicker and everything, and it was fun. But it's like, this is Olympic style. It's nothing for us to get excited about. And now it's like, man, all you gotta do is turn it down under 60 pounds and take the light off of it, and you can roll, baby.
Right. Like I said, I hope it gets a bigger foothold going forward. It's archery seems to be growing a little bit in the public eye, and it's great to see. Watching the 90s, what was it, 96, 97 Olympics, whenever Justin Hewish and all them, Rod White, that's when they were on the team. That's I used to watch that when I was little. That's kind of what got me excited into archery whenever I was first starting. I was shooting at that point, but it definitely helped fuel the fire. I was excited to watch that on TV.
I was a big PSE guy, and I remember watching Rod White and everything. And I was like, "Oh, dude, check this guy out!" And you with the Hoyt and the Justin, I remember watching him on the late night show shooting. They always showed it through the houses, and it's so cool.
Yeah, between that and there also used to be a show on. It was called the ESPN Games.
Yep.
And I used to watch that as well. That was Ulmer and Dave Cousins and all them were out there doing
Burley
that.
Hall.
Yeah, Burley.
Yep.
That also helped fuel my passion for archery whenever I was younger.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that archery is gaining a little bit of that back, in the public eye, and with the ASA being on the Sportsman's Channel and people actually getting to watch it from home, it makes a big difference.
A shooter in your caliber and out there on the TV channels and stuff, are you hearing of it more at the gas station, the grocery store? Hey, I watched you at. Do you see that yet?
I get a little bit of it. I get a lot of it from friends and family that I did not know watched it. Like I'll get it from like I got some message. We had a watch party. We had a bunch of people to get together and watch the ASA shoot off, and it's really neat. Being there in the moment, you're not thinking about everybody else at home watching. So it's neat to get those messages and calls and text messages that they were able to watch.
Well, cool.
What do you think the next, and this is kind of a two-part, specifically the ASA and then archery in general, what do you think it needs to do, in your opinion, to take that next step? To be, we're never going to be tournament bass fishing. We're never going to be golf. But what does the ASA need to do to appeal to more people to get them, kind of funneled in? Because I know, the numbers for Minden weren't. I know it's the furthest away, but we're trying to get them out here in Oklahoma. I've been bugging Josh Ryan for 2 years to, hey, come look at this property, man.
I think that there's a few different venues. Like the ASA has started. Josh has started a tournament that there's going to be one in Clarksville that's going to be more of a bow hunter style tournament. All bow hunting set up. I think he's calling it the Bow Hunter Games or something like that. And it's going to have more of a TAC total archery challenge. I think they're seeing different archery organizations are seeing the draw that's the pull that's having with just the archery community. It's more of a party, good time, not so much competition, and I see it. The biggest draw is that you can travel with your friends and family, and you can shoot the tournament with your friends and family. When you get there, you don't register for a certain class and they bust you up and you have to go shoot with a bunch of strangers. And because that's the biggest enjoyment, is people being able to travel to these tournaments and go through it with their friends and their family and cut up and have a good time and enjoy archery, which I totally understand. It's all fun and games for your buddies and your family to make fun of you when you make a bad shot, but with a bunch of strangers it's not very fun. So I get it, and they're not keeping score. They're having a good time, and everybody's and I see the draw from that. I think a lot of people are seeing the draw from that, but there's also, I think with what Josh is doing, there's a place to have both. You can have the venue that has the fun ranges for the people that just want to go out and shoot with their friends and family and enjoy that side. But you can also have a competitive side at the same venue, where if you decide you want to sign up in a money class and go and compete, you can do that as well. And
I'm hoping it turns out big for this year. I mean, $60,000. How are you going to miss that one? I mean,
and I think it's going to be great exposure for people that are just bow hunters to come in and see it and see that there is a competitive side and something to aspirate to be, because a lot of kids, they see it, they're like, I want to do that. I want to be at the top of that. I want to compete and be up there and have those aspirations. And I think there's definitely a place for it, and it's going to grow. We just have to get the right exposure.
Yeah. I was sitting there thinking of the shoot-offs that ASA hosts, and you have the Lancaster shoot-off or shoot-ups where they come and chat with you on the mic. The public watching loves that. And you have a little bit, not to that extent, but it steps down a little bit where Bruce calls talking between rounds. And ASA, we've got the mediators over on the side talk. Do you think that they could ever get to where they might be able to? I know we're trying to see the scores during, and they've learned to speed that up a lot quicker, but what about if it had a guy on a mic walking out to the guy right there? Or do you think you need to stay tuned on your shooting? What do you think how that would be?
I think there's a happy balance. I don't think there's any reason we could not have guys mic'd up. While we're
just mic the shooters without having someone.
Just mic the shooter.
So Dude, I love it.
So you can get, because I talk to myself when I'm out there judging. I'm looking at stuff. I'm like, whether I need to make a decision or not. I'm like, and I'm also conversing with my spotter, whoever that might be. What do you think we ought to do? That like this is the time that I should, make a hard decision or mash the gas or whatever, take a risk. And I don't think there's any reason that we should not have guys. We could not have guys mic'd up, whether it be all of us or a couple of us per tournament or whatever. And it kind of gives you more of an insight into what the guy's going through in the moment.
Yeah. Well, NBA's doing that.
Right.
Baseball's doing it. Yeah.
Right. It'd be, I think it'd be very, very easily accomplished, and it's not that intrusive to a guy.
Turn it off while they're shooting.
Well, you don't even necessarily need to do that.
Okay.
It can be, because you can get a reaction from a guy when it fires, because there's a lot of times when I fire one, I'm like, oh, that was good. That ought to be there. Or, one of those moments.
There you go. Mic them all up and then just let them all know, look, hey, if you're getting into a pressure point, we're going to pull up one mic at a time. And we want to listen. Right. And you won't know when it's going on and off.
Yeah, we're gonna have to run the 30-second delay just because you never know when you have that dip bang and it's like, oh, there it goes.
Yeah. Right. And that's part of the draw, that keeps you. I mean, that's the reason people watch NASCAR. They don't watch it for the round.
Neil,
they watch it for
job.
the wrecks.
It's your job, Neil. Pass it on, buddy.
Hey, that's on Josh. He owns Cam. We don't get to do that at the ASA.
But you've got you definitely more than this cat. You got his number. We've got it straight from Chance. This is what he wants on the next one.
I think it'd be great.
I can tell Josh, I think it would be something different, something create a little buzz.
Well, you've got Darren and PJ over there going, I wonder what he was thinking on that one. And it's like, let's cut the middleman out. If he wins, you're going to ask him, but you don't talk to the second, third, fourth, and fifth place guys. You only talk to the winner afterwards. Be like, Chance, do you see that 14, or are you just kind of guessing on it? Be like, I had a good number. I knew where it was, and get it in real time, because archery is a sport of, if you're not an archer, it's so boring to watch. But for me, I actually know half these people. I'm like, oh man, he's going for it. I know before he even dials the sight, he's gunning for broke. Let's go. So I think that it would be such a great thing to get some of the personalities on there. And like, you just imagine Tim Gillingham up there. Like, well, that was dog crap.
Yeah. And you'll know it would be a lot less guesstimate, because, there's a lot of times where, like I said, we're self-talking. Like, you'll know what's going to happen before we draw back.
Yeah. Can you imagine killing dead air time while y'all are up there trying to judge, chatting, and just the murmuring and
right.
Yeah.
It would help PJ out so much.
Yeah, because I talk myself through yardage all the time when I'm judging. I'm looking and I'm sitting there going, 20, 30. I'm judging different things. I'm like, well, that's 36. That's 42. I'm looking at it, backing up, and there's a lot of that self-talk that I'm doing, that because it just helps me to verbalize. I'm not doing it loud, but you'd be able to hear it on a mic. Like even the person standing next to me, they can hear me mumbling, but they don't really know what I'm saying. But you'd be able to hear it on a chest mic.
We would hear it and not understand it, but because it's not the inside your head.
Right.
What is he talking about?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That third limb from the right looks like it's what?
Yeah.
When's the last time you shot a known class? Have you judged for quite a few years in a row now?
It's been a few now. I think it's been 4 years, something like that.
Okay. Is there any specific method to your judging process? You kind of go target perception, you go ground, you go, find your 20 and double it.
Man, I do it a lot like throwing a baseball. Like when you ground a ball and you pick it up and you look at the guy, it's kind of instinctive. You know how hard to throw it to get it there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of, I judge kind of that way. Like whenever I walk up to a target, I'll get a pretty quick gut reaction of how far I think it is. And you just learn to relay that into numbers. Like whenever I'm working with somebody first, they're first learning how to judge yardage, and they're trying to judge out to 50 yards. I'll take 20 to 30 and highlight it yellow. 30 to 40 I'll highlight, or 20 to 30 I'll highlight it green. 30 to 40 I'll highlight it yellow, and 40 to 50 I'll highlight it red on their sight tape. And it's close, medium, and far. And I'll just make them carry their sight around in the yard and range, judge a target. And I'm like, well, do you think it is? You think it's in close, medium, or far? And you'll be surprised how fast you start to lean towards like it's medium,
picking three
far.
Categories.
Yeah. You'll be surprised how fast guys are like, well, it's not quite far, but it's heavy medium, and they're learning to relate things other than the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I
and
like
then
that.
then you learn to relate that to numbers, and you can teach somebody how to judge fairly quickly.
It's it's a game inside a game. And in Oklahoma, we've had a lot of people switch over we got a lot of we don't have any open 45. We got a lot of open 40 and a lot of semi-pro. So, there's guys that are leaving those known classes, and Texas and Oklahoma toyed with the idea of doing a youth 30-yard max unknown, because we have so many kids that are like, they see half the pros out here judge yardage, and they're like, I want to judge yardage. I'm not going to go shoot 68 up, but I know I can shoot, I can compete.
Right.
So they're wanting to, so we might do that in the next couple of years to get them started earlier, because 40 yards, if you're 12 or 13 and your bow's shooting, 240, 250, 40 yards is a long way to misjudge one. So
it is.
We're looking at trying to give them a shorter max distance, but there's just so many classes in ASA. It's hard to keep up with all of them at a local level.
There's a bunch, man. There's a bunch there's a bunch between ASA and NFAA and IBO, and Lord, I go to IBO. They're like, what class? I'm like, the top one. I don't know what's it called.
Oh, yeah, I pay Social Security. I don't get Social Security.
Right.
I want to have anything I want on my bow. Just put me there.
Right.
Yeah. I think if we really pared it down in ASA, we could probably get rid of 20 to 25 classes pretty easy.
I think so too. And I don't know, man. That's like I said, that's a whole nother discussion. But
that's for another podcast.
The politics of archery, man. I'd lump them all together. There's just, I don't know. We're raising buckle money for them, and it's like that's $150 a pop times 2 for the shooter of the year and 1 for the state champion times. I mean, it was 46 classes a year ago. They've added 2. We're 48. We do the Genesis class in Oklahoma. We're 50 different classes. I'm like, golly, this is a fundraising endeavor right here. This isn't even an archery season. This is a fundraising season.
No doubt.
Yeah.
50
I didn't realize you had that many classes.
Yeah, there was 44, and then they added, I think 145 was 46, and then they added senior 145, and senior legends would have been 47 or 48, and we added one we have trad in Oklahoma. We kept trad alive. My first year as the state director was 3 years ago, and they got rid of trad at the national level and lumped them all in with barebow. I'm like, whoa. We got trad guys in Oklahoma. They're going to be outside on my yard with pitchforks and torches. We can't tell them they don't. So we kept trad, and then we added Genesis. So it's 49, if not 50. I mean, it's fun.
Give me 1 second, fellas. I got to plug my laptop in.
Yeah.
Won't take me but a second.
Kept him too long.
No, you're all good.
I was going to say, this is must see information right here. You never know what pros are thinking as far as, setup, tuning, judging, pressure point situations.
I love that judging thing, starting them out with
green, yellow, red.
Yeah, just are they in a 1 stage, 2 stage, or a 3 stage of that? Yeah. I love that's very good.
Yeah. I just have them carry their sight around with them while they're practicing judging, just so you get in the habit of setting your sight to what you think it is before you range it, and if I do that and I color code it helps prevent them whenever they first start shooting a movable sight. It prevents them from missetting their sight a lot, especially when I color code it, because if you're toward one color or toward the other color, you're either in the low numbers or high numbers of that range. It keeps them from missetting it like 5 yards or 10 yards, because you're in the right color code.
Yep.
When you're picking a spot to aim at on those targets, when you're out there further, are you aiming right at it and hoping you rise or fall into it, or are you pretty much gunning for it, trusting the number 100%?
I have to aim at what I want to hit. I got to put my pin right where I want it, and sometimes it hurts me, but most of the time it works out. But I've been doing it for so long, man. And whenever I first started, we didn't even have uppers to shoot at, so all we had was lowers, and I don't know. I just never did I never did practice the aiming safe and letting it fall or any of that sort of that. Like, I've always just been put my pin right where I want it and put the number on it I think it is, and
let it eat.
Let her eat. And it like I said, it's hurt me at times, because the way I play the game, it's most of the time it's all gas. Like I can't just be content shooting at 10 rings. I have to try and play the game aggressively.
I think that goes back to how this whole thing started off. Having that mindset, the positive, it. So if you miss it, well, that's my game. That's
Right.
that's the way I roll. So
Right.
don't go getting up. It still goes back to that, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
You have to make a decision on how you're going to play the game and be okay with it if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Just
good point.
Just come home and polish it and make it better.
Yeah.
I'll go one level deeper. I've had a terrible last 3 or 4 weeks. Just started the year out good, had a good time at Foley, had some good scores early, and then just kind of down it goes. I wasn't getting on my button enough. It was too light. I was getting scared of it.
Yeah.
Cranked a little bit more resistance into it, squeeze, and the last 2 or 3 times out, I've had so much better results by saying, I don't even care where it lands. I executed good. I picked a good spot. I executed good, and a little 12 ring at 45 yards. Go hang 12 quarters up at 50 yards and shoot all dozen arrows at them. I mean, if you're really good, you'll hit half of them. If you're having a really good day, you'll hit 3/4 of them. But focusing more on how it gets there, did I break a good shot? Did I follow through? Did I see the arrow leave? Yeah. That's been the last 3 weeks of my shooting has been, did I do everything right on my part? I can live with it down there at the target.
Well, a lot of it is guys just, whenever they practice, they just go out in the yard and shoot, and they have no purpose behind the practice. They just go shoot. And if they're struggling with something, they never take steps to remedy it. It's just, this is what's happening, and they don't know how to fix it. And they just fight it and fight it and fight it instead of, trying to figure out what's causing the issue and getting to the root of it and fixing it. That way you're just enjoying archery more than it being a struggle when you go out there.
Yeah, that's what I try to tell people. It's like, look, you can put a 10 out of 10 shot on it and be just out, and you got to build on that. You didn't miss. I mean, yeah, the arrow didn't land there, but you did everything right. You had an arrow to aim at, or you see that little blown out chunk or that sunspot or where that leaf is. You did everything right. You got to use that to build confidence into the next target, not oh man, I missed another one. Here it goes. It was just a 10, or I blew it out the top for an 8. It's like, it's a game of accuracy, but you can't look at it like a pass fail based on like kicking out of an arrow.
It's more of a game of consistency.
Yeah.
And if you can consistently make good shots, shooting your bow, especially on a 3D course, if you execute a good shot, you can get away with more with yardage than you realize. Yeah. As long as you stay with it and you execute a good shot, you can get away with, like some targets you can get away with 1.5 yards, 2 yards. It just depends on where you fire. But you can get away. If you make a bad shot, you're amplifying any sort of miscalculation you've already made.
See, playing off of scenario you used a while ago, and I'm coming from a basketball background, and with what you were saying, with people not knowing how to practice to get better, they just go out and shoot. Well,
right.
I break practices down, and I know you do too, but I break it down to where, like in basketball, we had drill practices for free throws, turnarounds, off the glass, straight in, halfway this, and we would do left-handeds, we do right-handeds, there was drills for that. Well, there's drills in archery too, and you got to break your shot, you got to break your practices down as practices. Yeah. And people don't know how to make a practice session.
Right. A lot of guys don't. A lot of people don't. They'll go out there and just, like I said, they'll grab their bow, take it out in the yard, and the first thing they start doing is aiming at something and trying to hit it. And, it's not really conducive to getting the most out of your practice. Like usually what I do is I'll go out and my first 6 to 10 arrows I shoot, I'm shooting them with my eyes closed. I'll draw back, get the anchor, get everything comfortable, and I'll somewhat get a target, acquire a target, but I'm pointing it in the middle of a 4-foot bale. So I'll just point it right in the middle of the 4-foot bale, and I'm only maybe 20 yards away, you know, and I'll close my eyes and go through my shot, and I'm focusing on how I want it to feel. And if I can get those first 10 shots feeling good, then whenever I go out in the yard and I actually start aiming at something, my subconscious already knows how I want it to feel. And all I'm doing is implementing the aiming aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'm 100% with that. Usually I'm stuck running the registration table, but if I ever get a warm up bag, I'll go over there and find the 10-yard bag, scoot the Junior Eagles off of it, and just bang 5 of them out real quick. Not even aiming, just get it to break.
The biggest thing is when you get that closer and you start doing that drill, you have to be honest with yourself and don't aim at something, you know, because all you're doing is involving your conscious mind and stuff in a process that when you're just trying to feel how you want the follow through, the execution to go. That's why I like to do it with my eyes, because I'm really focused on how everything feels then with my eyes closed, and I can get my follow through feeling really well, and then it's easier to blend into aiming.
Yeah, that's right.
When you're during the week, when you're practicing in between these turns, do you do any type of just blank bail only, or is it just as a warm up just to get the feeling of it? Do you have some nights?
I do a lot of alternating. Like I'm shooting at like little dots, the size of, they're like 1.5 inch dots or whatever. Mm-hmm. I've just colored on there with a Sharpie, little circles. But I'll aim at one of those and execute a shot, and then my next shot will be blank bail. And then I'm just trying to blend the two to make them feel the same. The timing to get kind of the same to where, because 9 times out of 10 when you're shooting with your eyes closed, it's going to go off faster than when you're aiming, just because you're eliminating that process of trying to get your pin where you want it. You're in the middle, and you're just going through your shot process. So if I can get those two feeling really, really close, then I know that I'm not really having any hang up with any kind of anticipation or any sort of hesitation with my aiming or any sort of being timid with my pen. I'm getting everything where I want it pretty quickly and getting through my shot process without any sort of hesitation or.
Yeah.
Tell people it's like a trust fall with your bow. You got to trust the bow. You got to be squeezing on it. You got to be.
You have to be mentally comfortable knowing that explosion's coming, because that's what most people's dip bangs, most people's misses. They're minutely bracing for the bow to go off, for the explosion, and that's what creates most of the problem. It's the whole time they're aiming, it's their subconscious. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. And you're slowly bracing for the bow to fire, for that shock, because your mind doesn't like that. You didn't like the explosion part of it.
Yeah. Well, Neil, we've kept him a long time. I'm sure he's got some property to go take pictures of so he can tell.
It's about time to get the trail cameras out.
Oh man, it's getting close. I was thinking about going chasing a turkey this evening.
There you go.
Yeah.
Trying to get Dave to let me go shoot the ones out back at his place.
Oh man.
Well, Chance, thank you for sitting down and taking time with us, and congrats again on the win. We'll be rooting for you the next 3 pro-ams, and I guess we'll have to tune into some IBO stuff.
Well, I very much appreciate it, Neil and David. I appreciate y'all having me on, and hopefully I'll see y'all at ASA or one of the venues.
Yeah, real quick, go through if you got any social medias you want to throw out there, and then your sponsors. Tell everyone what you got.
Oh Lord, yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok like everybody else, just under Chance Beaubouef. But as far as sponsors, Darton, Black Eagle, Conquest, Gas Bowstrings, Hamsky, Lord Beast. I'm trying to help them. They're it's a very good friend that does all the engineering over there. So he used to shoot David. You probably know David Hauser.
Oh yeah.
David is the lead engineer over Beast Broadheads. So,
I think I remember hearing that now.
Yeah. So I try and support them as much as I can. We're very good friends. Lord, all the other sponsors, got Elvish Tack, Tack Vanes, Lancaster Archery, Last Chance Archery. There's quite a few.
Well, Yeah. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to throw them out there.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I very much do.
You
And
bet.
I appreciate y'all having me on and what y'all are doing for archery.
All right. Appreciate you, sir. Have a great one.
Yes, sir. Y'all too.
Thanks, Chance.
Yeah, man.